long time ago, when I very first started at IQ Metrics, I had never, ever traveled before. So I started out actually as, I don't even know what the title would be. My first job at IQ Metrics, I just searched the internet for leads. So I would just try to find dealers online and collect their contact information, and I would pass that along to the sales team. And then that moved into a very entry-level support role, and I worked there, and then I got into implementations, and it was client services. But the bulk of my time at IQ Metrics in the last 10 years has been working with customers. So then I went on my very first on-site trip, which was very nervous. I was very nervous, but it was also very exciting. And then it just kind of went from there, where I was traveling, and I was visiting here, and I was visiting there. And then all of a sudden, I had been to all of these places in a year and visited all of these people. So the great thing about visiting all of these people is that I get to meet all of you. And it always gets me thinking every time I meet someone and I hear what they're doing, and then I talk to someone else, I'm like, well, you know, what I've seen someone else do is they do blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And it's always amazing to share stories, especially at the summit. So I want to talk about a couple things that are very common right now that everyone's talking about, and that I think will really appeal to the masses that are attending the summit. So some of the things that we're going to talk about today are going to be some operational efficiencies. We're going to talk about something, growth and acquisitions that is, nonstop. What we're seeing as IQ Metrics is dealer A is acquiring dealer B, where they're merging, but this is all over the place right now. We're going to talk about treating our customers right and exactly how some of us are executing on that. And we're also going to talk about how we can empower our employees to make sure that we're as best as we possibly can be. So the very first topic that I want to talk about is a problem that I would bet almost all of you have in this room. So here's the problem. You guys love being attached. Do you know to what? Anyone want to guess? Everyone here, or I guess not everyone, but a large majority of people in the retail industry, it's not just this industry, everyone is attached to paper. We print everything. We print invoices, we print contracts, we print cash outs, we print purchase orders, transfers, RMAs, on and on and on with what we print. And here's what happens and what I see a lot of people doing. The store closes at night, and they have to print out their report. Maybe they have to highlight their report, and they print out all the transactions that went with that report, and then all their purchase orders, and then all their transfers. They take all this paper and all their contracts and everything paper, and they mail it to the corporate office. And then corporate gets that, big envelope, and then corporate has to deal with that paper. So that goes on and on and on with multiple scenarios, but we're printaholics here. So what ends up happening to all of those pieces of paper that we're printing them? So we lose them all the time because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of them. We can't find our answers because we're relying on a physical piece of paper. So how do you find that paper? Is it in a back room? Is it in a box? Is it in a store? Is it in a storage room? They build up so much, and it's very hard to deal with when we have physical paper. The other problem is that it can cause problems between corporate and retail. So I've been on both sides of hearing, the different stories. So when the corporate office can't find a contract, they probably think, well, what did the store do to screw that up? It's just never a good relationship, and vice versa. And that's not to say that it's always the store. It's just not always good, consistent with corporate and the stores flowing good together when we're relying on something so archaic as a piece of paper. So everyone talks about going paperless and eliminating the amount of paper that you're using in your stores and trying to be more efficient, but no one's actually doing it. So why would we ever want to go paperless? Well, there's obvious reasons that you'd want to go paperless. Right off the bat, we'd know that it would reduce cost because we wouldn't print as much, so we'd save on paper and ink. And it would probably create better efficiencies, right? Because if I don't have to wait at corporate for all of those physical papers to come in, and if I had them electronically, I could get to things way faster and way better. So today, I want to talk about someone who actually did this. And so this is one of my favorite people who's attending the summit. I just adore them to death, and it's Premier Locations. Premier has 61 US cellular locations in multiple states across the country, and they've recently gone paperless in all of their stores. So I think that's a huge task that they've achieved and accomplished, and I just think it's so cool that they actually did it. So I talked to them and got them to give me a little bit more details on exactly how did they achieve that and what type of efficiencies have they seen by going paperless in all of those stores. So why did they go paperless? So their answer for why did you go paperless is pretty straightforward. It only makes sense to utilize technology to reduce the costs and our imprint on the environment. RQ4 provides a lot of tools, and there's so much technology out there that can eliminate a lot of the stuff that we're printing. So what do they consider paperless? So Premier will only print when necessary. When they actually have to give a customer an invoice, so for example, a mail-in rebate where the customer needs a physical invoice, they will print an invoice. Other than that, they don't have to print an invoice. They've taken great advantage of emailing invoices to the customer. Now what's good about that is obviously it's paperless because we're emailing the customer their invoice, but they're also collecting a massive amount of customer data and email addresses, and now they can take advantage of all of that information and market to those customers. So it's good on both fronts there. So what don't they print anymore that so many of you guys are printing? They stopped printing cash-ins, they never print cash-outs, they don't print purchase orders, no end-of-day reports, they print nothing. Everything is done electronically. They also scan in what they have to print so that corporate can get it faster. So what do we have to print and that we can't get rid of paper as of today? So things like the carrier contract, we can't get away from that, but they don't have the stores mail it necessarily. So they can scan it all up into RQ4, they put it on the customer's profile, things like proof of tax exemptions, they do their bank deposit slips. So imagine how much better it would be if corporate could get this immediately. So if yesterday was yesterday, and today I could access all of yesterday's contracts and bank deposit slips and all my proof of tax exemptions and all those things that corporate needs to do their job without that time frame of waiting for it. And once we wait for it, it's organizing it and finding it, because finding that one single piece of paper takes forever. So they've been very organized and very efficient at uploading the right things into RQ4 or wherever intranet, wherever they need to be so they can access them instantly. So I think paperless is something that you really need to sell your employees on the idea of. It's a huge benefit to them, and they need to buy into the fact that they need to do this because it's going to benefit them, so it's a successful launch. So what will benefit the employee drastically is that it's going to make things more efficient for them. It's going to make the relationship with corporate better. So what benefits did Premier see after they stopped printing everything and started emailing and scanning what they could? Well, the first thing they saw is immediate access to information. So they could immediately access anything that they needed from their corporate office right from the stores without that lag in time. Obviously, they saved money. They stopped printing. There was no more ink. There was no more toner. So there's a huge savings in the amount of paper you're not going to use anymore. So not only is that good for the bottom line, it's fantastic for the environment. It's also a reduced workload. When they eliminated all of the work that's involved with paper, it really reduces the workload at the corporate office and the stores, and that frees up time for them to do more and be more efficient with the day-to-day tasks that all of us have so many of, and now they can focus on that because we've eliminated something else. So overall, it was a fantastic launch. They did it very smooth, and they took it a little bit further, and this to me just really reiterates how important this was to them. So this was Premier's logo, and they actually have a Going Green logo. So they're really taking it to heart and saying, this is something that is important to us and so important that now they can even visualize it. So this is Premier's new Going Green logo, which I just think is fantastic and really sums up how they view that And I'm very happy that they were able to do so because it is something that a lot of people talk about. So the next thing I want to talk about is acquisition and growth. So we've all, I guarantee every single one in this room either knows someone who is in the industry, who has merged with another dealer, recently got acquired from another dealer, thinking about it, whatever the case may be. This is happening nonstop in this industry right now. So everyone's growing, everyone's acquiring, and it's something that a lot of people are interested in. I can't tell you how often clients will say to me, hey, if you know anyone who's a Verizon store who's looking to sell or buy, let me know. That happens nonstop. It's kind of in the back of everyone's mind. So I want to introduce you to Brady. This is Brady Hansen. He's the CEO of North Star Telecom. So Brady's from North Dakota. He's got some Verizon stores. He has 7 Verizon stores. Actually, he had 7 Verizon stores. So let me go over this again. This is Brady Hansen. He's from North Dakota. He's got some Verizon stores. He had 7 Verizon stores, and then overnight, he added 37 more stores. So how does someone go from 7, so around, just less than 10, to almost 50 stores? It's a huge acquisition. So imagine how much that would change your business, and what would you need to consider to go from 7 up into the 40s? It's actually 570% growth overnight. So why grow so big? What I love about what Brady answered is that the reason that, why did you want to get a bigger and better company is he wanted to provide more opportunities for his people. I wanted to provide opportunity for our people to grow into higher positions, he said, and who can be long-term good employees with good opportunities. And I think that's so amazing because it was about people versus I wanted to make more money. And I'm sure there's beneficial, sales beneficial, you're going to make more, you've got more stores, but at the end of the day, it's about more than just having more stores. It is about creating an environment for people to, have a long-term career and be those good employees that all of you guys need and want so bad. So what happens when you go from less than 10 to almost 50 stores and you have to merge those employees? So if we took the employees from the original North Star stores, and then we add in all the new employees from the newly acquired North Star stores, how do we make them all work together as one smoothly? So what North Star did is they actually brought in as many employees as they could. They brought them all into their corporate office, and they all got together and they said, let's work as a team. Here's how our company works. Here's how our sales works, and they just really wanted to invite them in and, set the tone and have everyone get to know everyone so that they could all work together as a team. So North Star is absolutely a people company. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But I thought one thing that really stood out to me about North Star is when they got all their employees together, and they felt actually that the transition of merging the 2 sets of employees and there were the new employees, and making them feel comfortable and part of the company was probably the most important piece of their acquisition plan. So what I thought was so amazing about it is that Brady said that they had to say to their new stores, listen, we're 7 stores going to 45 stores. They're going to make mistakes. We're going to need to be educated, but please be patient with us because it's going to pay off. So super honest, super humble, and the feedback from the employees were great. They completely reacted well to it. Things have been fantastic since they switched on September 1st. Things are going really smoothly. And one of the other things that I thought was, kind of in the back of my mind, as I'm sure it would be in yours, is how does someone go from a small dealer to a large dealer and support that many stores? It's completely different. So I was actually expecting him to say, oh no, we hired 4 more reconciliation people and another HR person and 2 more inventory people or whatever it might be, but my expectation is that I thought he was going to say, we hired a bunch of people to beef up our corporate staff. But he actually, all he said was, my people are so great, And my inventory guy, he's great because he does this. He has someone whose title is Director of Happiness, and she just makes sure that everyone's happy all the time. And he just says his people are so amazing that they had the right policies in place, and they had the right policies and processes in place that they didn't need to beef up their corporate office. So they haven't had to increase the amount of staff they had. All he had to do was make sure he had the right people in his corporate office to make the transition really easy, and I thought that was pretty cool. So what positive changes have they seen from going from a small dealer to a larger dealer? So first of all, obviously, the carrier absolutely loves it. The vendors love it. The personnel love it. And it has been a win-win-win for them. So what could be really intimidating and scary has been really smooth and very good. And I think that I can attribute, my opinion of why that has worked out so well for North Star is they're just straight up good people, and they have good people, and they treat their people right. When I was actually reading all of Brady's answers, there was an underlying theme of never once did he write in his answers, I wanted this, and I this, and I that. It was we, my people. I want it to be for my people. I want them to have better this. And I actually related that back a lot to how IQ Metrics functions. Our president and CEO is all about the people at IQ Metrics. He is always trying to build an environment where we want to work there, and we stay there, and we're loyal to the company. And I was just nonstop reminded of our CEO as I was reading Brady's answers. So I think that Brady's done phenomenal at creating a culture of good people and having good people in his stores. Next thing I want to talk about is getting our name out there. So a lot of people are trying to get into social networking. We're talking a lot about here, Twitter, Facebook, everything like that. I'll tell you, before the summit started this morning, I did check my Facebook already 3 times, and I've checked my Twitter a bunch of times, and I guarantee when I get a break, I'm going to check both again. So I am that person that you guys want on Facebook because I'm all over it, and I do follow all sorts of retail businesses on there. So the reason I like Twitter specifically is because I can follow people and I can find out random things like this. So I follow BlackBerry on there. I love my BlackBerry the most. It's the best phone ever. And I find out really cool tips, so I think that's really cool. I also follow Twitter because people tell me I have nice hair and that my cat's cute, and that's fun. So there's good things about it, and there's just fun things about it. The reason I like Facebook is because people post funny things on it, and I'm constantly entertained by what people are putting up there. But I also think it's great because I follow people on Facebook that put stuff like this up there. So this is Jump.ca's Facebook page, and this is just a promotion they had going on. I don't even live in Saskatchewan anymore, but I still follow them on here because I'm constantly trying to tell my mom or my grandma or my sister what they should be doing and things like that. So even though I have no interest in buying a phone from them anymore because I live in a different country, I still think it's fantastic, and I continue to follow them on there. So here's why I think this is why I wanted to talk about Jump specifically on Facebook. Is Jump has done phenomenal at implementing social media into their business. So when I see companies' retail pages on Facebook, they typically have 100 people like them and get their news feeds on there. So guess how many people like Jump.ca on Facebook? And just for a quick background, Jump has 17 stores in Saskatchewan, which is just a single province in Canada. So how many likes do you think Jump has? Anyone have a guess? They have 5,000 people in our one single province who are liking them and getting their news feeds. So why is this so important? Well, when I talked to Chris Parker from Jump, who is the one who's behind their brand marketing, He says it's absolutely important to develop a strong base of loyal customers. I think we'd all agree with that. So it's very important because what's so hard to do in this industry is that the customer life cycle generally only has customers talking to us once per contract, right? Which is once every 24 months. So it's pretty hard to stay engaged with people when they really only have to talk to us every 2 years. So with such infrequent contact, it's difficult to develop a strong relationship with customers and a strong loyalty to our brand. So how did Jump do it specifically? So what they want to do is they want to use social media to create more frequent, meaningful engagements with our customers. So let's just get into the really good stuff that they do. So this is their Facebook page. The first thing you'll notice on their Facebook page is that they've posted for jobs. So what's so cool about this is they don't focus on sales, sales, sales all the time. So they have job postings on here. They've got 5,000 people in a small area who like them. Word of mouth is pretty big. So this is really cool that they've done this. So the other thing that they do is they regularly incorporate their Facebook page into their ongoing advertisement and promotions. So if they have a radio ad or something in a flyer or a newspaper, whatever that might be, that's a promotion going on, Facebook has the same message and the same promotion going on. So any promotion they have going on is always on their Facebook. So here's what else I think is really great about what Jump does to take it to another level. So if they want to get part into the community and give back and raise money, they do really unique things like we're going to give $1 to whatever foundation for every single like that we get. And they've had multiple of these going on, and it's really cool because they'll get pretty hefty amount of people like that. So it's giving back to the community, it's putting their name out there. So again, it's more than just sales. So they've gotten very creative with their Facebook page. So what they did in the summer is they were actually doing stuff like this. So let me just read it for you for those of you who might not be able to read it at the back. Hey, it's Friday. Let's do a giveaway. To get connected with the BlackBerry Torch 9800 from jump.ca, simply leave a comment on this thread. And 191 people left a comment. And then they randomly picked someone and gave them a phone. So that's a pretty big prize. So how realistic would it be that we're all giving out free phones all the time? You can't all do that all the time. So what else can we do? So they do a lot of small things. So what did they do in addition to phones? We're giving away jump.ca gift cards today. 4 randomly drawn responses to this post will receive a $50 gift card. And they had 190 comments. That's a lot of people commenting just for the potential win of a $50 gift card. So it's not always something big, it can be something smaller. So what's cool about a gift card is you're bringing them back into your store and they're coming in and now they've got their $50 gift card to spend. And it can get even smaller than that. So this is the same idea where they're giving away movie passes. So they've got 2 random people are going to get movie passes out of anyone who comments on this status. So they had 109 people comment on that. What I find phenomenal about what Jump has done is it's movie passes, it's Slurpees, whatever it might be. They do a lot of little things to keep people engaged with their Facebook page. Is people will do anything for something small. So if they're giving away movie passes, people are taking the time to have to go pick up those movie passes, probably at a store, and they're coming into the store. So it's something small, someone's in your store, they've got great exposure in the community, it's very popular. So what else is amazing about what Jump has done is, so they've got promos, they have sales, they have contests, but it's also a support resource. So if someone writes in and says, hey, can I take my old phone and get this new phone? How does that work? They've got a very fast response time for, here's your options, here's what we can do, here's our phone number if you want to phone us, or you can stop in at one of their stores. So they've even been able to use their Facebook page as a support resource. The other thing that's really amazing about it is that I saw multiple things on their Facebook page as I was looking through it, is it became a tool for customers to say thank you. So, hey, you know what? I was in your store. I had a great experience. It was great. Just a shout out. And of course, Jump responded and said thank you. That's wonderful. We'll pass that compliment back on. So you'll get good feedback out of it too. So they've just done such a phenomenal job of taking it further than we have a new phone. So they've really incorporated multiple things into their Facebook page to get so many likes and get so many responses, and it's completely engaging. So I'm going to jump into the next topic, which is how to deliver wow to your customers. So the customer I want to talk about, well, actually, let me step back for a second. I want to deliver wow to our customers. So how are we going to do that? We have to be unique. We have to be different from the carriers. We have to be different from the big box stores. And we have to get our repeat customers back. And we have to get them back by wowing them in the first place. So on average, our Q4 customers, your customer bases are on average made up of 56% repeat customers. That's a really important number because repeat customers spend 33% more than new customers. So we always want our repeat customers back because the numbers prove that they're spending more. So we've got an exception to this rule. So if the average is 56% of repeat customers, we have a customer who's IDC Communications, who has 9 locations. Their customer retention rate is 86%. So they have a much higher average repeat customer base than most people. And what's so great about that is that their customer base, made up of 86% repeat customers, those customers are spending 33% more. So you just can't, argue with the fact that it's so important that we have so many repeat customer bases. So how does IDC do so well at having such high customers come back to them? Well, they do a couple things that I think are really, really cool. The first thing they do is an in-store checklist. So they have a ready-to-go checklist that they go through with every single customer. So they take this checklist, the associate goes through the checklist with the customer, and they check all the things off that need to be done. So they're guaranteeing that the customer is getting all the things that they want them to get. So, is your email set up? Did we offer to transfer your contacts? Things like that. So they're guaranteeing the customer is getting the right experience, but they're also using this as an aid for the employees to not forget all of those things. So it's very interactive, and it creates a really great customer experience because it's always consistent. So why stop there? So they take it a step further. So what IDC does is they follow up with their customer base. So they do phone calls to customers who activated new activations or upgrades, and they ask them how the service was. Did we go through the checklist? How was your experience? But most importantly, would you refer someone to us? And that's the big thing that we always want is, would you refer someone back to us? So they're doing the customer satisfaction score follow-up program. What's cool about it is they don't do any upselling in it. It's strictly meant to be, is the customer having the right experience in the store that we want them to have? So because they do these follow-ups, they can get reports that will tell them store by store or month over month exactly how satisfied their customers are. So this is obviously a little bit more generic of a report that we're looking at, but they have detailed reports that can get down to a store or a specific employee where customers aren't as satisfied as they're expecting them to be. Now from there, they can, really nail down which area we need to do training on. Is it this employee, this store, this region, whatever it might be. So they do a phenomenal job at creating a good customer experience in the store. But they take it a step further. So IDC does a lot of outside and business sales. So what they do with their corporate accounts is every single month, IDC creates a newsletter, and they email blast this out to all of their corporate accounts. So what's so cool about this is every single month they get their name in front of all of their corporate accounts, and they don't have to phone them, and they don't have to physically be in touch with them, which of course costs money, and it's just a really simple way to do it. So it's also really helpful for those business accounts. They get tips and information, they make sure they add coupons, so there's always that incentive for that customer to come back into the store. So it's really cool. Now I think that's pretty impressive, but they take the business and corporate side of things a step further. So 6 years ago, IDC had a grand opening at their corporate office. So they asked people to come out and have a barbecue and hang out, and there was interest. People came. So the next year they thought, you know, we can't have another grand opening, so let's hold an open house and invite everyone out again. And people came again. And this time they had a couple tables set up, and they had some products on there, and the feedback was good, and people liked it. So they thought, well, let's do it again. So fast forward to today. So we're 6 years into IDC's get-together where they ask all their corporate accounts to, you know, come out and spend a day with them. Now IDC holds their event in a hotel because they've outgrown having people at their corporate office, and they have over 175 people attend their conference every year. So that's a huge number for someone with 9 stores. That's almost a third of the people that are attending this summit are getting together for IDC. What's really cool about it is they really put on a good show because they have vendors, they have products available for their corporate accounts to look at. They hold breakout sessions where those corporate accounts are able to learn more about technology and the industry, and, you know, here's what tablets can do for your business. So it's absolute learning opportunity for all these corporate accounts, but it's a great way for IDC to maintain their name and get all of their customers together. So they've done absolutely phenomenal with customer retention, but they are, you know, very focused on customer experience and getting all of their corporate accounts together. So the last topic that I want to talk about today is achieving the unachievable. So what I want to talk about is specifically Lee Bogle from Premier Wireless. So this is the story that I told at our staff meeting, and I continue to tell everybody. So Lee Bogle has one Sprint store in Houston, Texas. And I have known Lee for years and years, and she's become a good friend of mine. So when I was in Houston a few months ago, I called her up, you know, want to get together, can we go for dinner? So we get together, of course, and, you know, she's telling me that, you know, she's got her one store, we're struggling, you know, everyone has that worry of, are we going to be okay? So are we going to be okay is what she's telling me. But then she says, but I've got something very exciting coming down the pipe. I've got this opportunity to get a contract for the city of Houston. So I was in Houston the night before she was going to find out if she got this contract. So I'm out for dinner with her and a lady that works with her, and they're stressed out. They're telling me about how the meetings went, blah, blah, blah. It's been a year-long process, if not more than that. So just constant, you know, how's this going to work out? So obviously the next day I couldn't wait to hear, well, did you get this contract or not? Because it's a huge deal, and, you know, all small dealers or medium-sized or large dealers are always wondering, are we going to be okay the way the industry is going today? So she finally gives me the text that yes, she gets this contract. And I was so excited for her because think about this. She has one store, and her contract was worth 400 devices a day for a total of 8,000 new activations that she was going to deploy in 6 weeks. And so think about that. One store, one lady, who I think should rule the world. She's got her 8,000 activations in 6 weeks, plus accessories, plus all the features. So I don't know if I can tell you guys how you could do that or how that would work for you. So I'm going to ask her to come up here and tell you exactly what she did to do this. Clicker. Forward, back.
This is a challenge. I have to hold the mic in one hand and click with another hand. Okay, I can see it on the screen right here. It was a very exciting day, and as Stacy did see us very, very, very stressed out. The city, I always thought best and final offer meant one best and final offer. We learned in the process with the city of Houston that best and final offer going once, going twice, and we finally won on going the third time. So one of the things, anybody that knows me knows that I have tenacity and I never give up. And our motto for our whole company is together we can and together we will. And that is what truly persevered us throughout the whole process. When Stacy first approached me and asked me to share with you how we did it, the thing for me that's important to share back to you is how you can do it. And we all know there's not a lot of accounts that have 8,000 units. So the process can go for 500 units, 1,000 units, and how in today's marketplace can we get those big deals and not always let them always go to the carrier? Or how can we partner with the carrier and do a split? And I do have to let you know, City of Houston is being split between the Sprint Direct team and my office as well. But never in the history have I ever seen the carrier split half their activations and share them. So the first thing that's important is that you build a bridge. And the first place to do it is decide where your vertical alignment is. We have been working public sector for a long time. Not only do we, prior to winning the City of Houston business, we actually managed today about 35–40% of the entire public sector marketplace for Sprint in Houston. That's a lot of public sector. So we've built that bridge. They trust us, and they know we really are the expert when it comes to public safety. So we were a natural fit when the city contract came up in partnering with us to bring it to the next step. And it is partnering. It is building trust. They have to trust. If you're going to partner with the carrier, if you're going to partner with the city, they have to trust you. The greatest compliment through this whole process that I received was actually from the CIO of the city. And he said that our company, Premier Wireless, brought more value than any of his other small business partners that he has worked with in the last 10 years. And that was a huge statement. He trusts us. He's got a couple key people. He knows that we will bring in solutions that are not totally 110% just Sprint. So we will look at it outside and bring in additional resources. And that comes from being the expert and building that trust. The next one is to really be able to do something of this magnitude is you really have to know what your strengths are. If you want to do something where you're partnering with the carrier, there are a lot of things that the carrier can't do. We've talked all day from a retail perspective about big box. Well, big carrier can't do something as well. During the RFP process, one of the questions that actually came up, the city said, well, tell us about your deployment strategy. And Sprint was very proud, and they said, well, we can do this in 6 months. And the room went silent. This was back last year, they wanted it done between December 15th and January 31st. They had a 45-day window, 30-day window that they wanted it done initially in. So anybody that also knows me knows that I'm not always quiet and I'm really shy and I never say what's on my mind. So I stood up right there and said, wait a minute, we can do it. And the next thing I know is at the end of that meeting, I had to send back the deployment plan. And I went back to my box of Rice Krispies and said, the maze said start at the end, work your way back, 8,000 devices, 6 weeks. And that's how we got the 400 units a day down. And so I gave them a plan that would work. It's still basically the same frame and the same plan that we're using today. We knew our strengths. We knew what we could do. We deploy, anybody that's a Sprint dealer knows what that Ready Now service is, and so we make sure your email is set up. We built that into our deployment plan because Sprint said, well, we'll ship the boxes to your office, and then your people can come in a room with an auditorium of 500 people, and we'll train them all at one time. The city didn't feel warm and fuzzy about that. We, in turn, said we will show up on site. We'll bring an army of people. there'll be 15 of us, and we will touch hands, we will transfer contacts, and it'll be a personal experience, and they leave. And so that was the value add that we brought to the contract that no one else could. At the end of the day, whether you're looking at something that's a 500-unit deal, a 1,000-unit deal, bigger, smaller, or somewhere in between, you have to maintain flexibility with these kinds of projects and stuff, because every day is a new day. I've rescheduled 3 deployments for next week to be new times, and I have to then have that calendar to schedule the people to make sure everybody's on site where they need to be. Things will go wrong. Things go wrong every single day. You know, as we like to say in my office, the good news is we won the contract. The bad news some days is we won the contract and we have to fight our way through. So flexibility and, you know, keeping an open mind to that change and kind of rolling with the punches and everybody not getting too serious about it while being very serious about delivering the product is critical and crucial. And so that's the bridge that we actually built. Our role throughout the deployment is literally deploying those devices. They come into our office. They have the phone number on the box. We take the order sheet, match it up with the deployment schedule, box it up accordingly, show up on site, and make sure that it gets done. We make sure that we provide the training, as I mentioned. So we do a training for what they call their wireless coordinators, so that we train the trainer, and then we provide the training on site to the individuals that need the training that day. We will provide the ongoing support, so it's another revenue stream for us through our service and repair department. As their devices break over the next 5 years of this contract, we will maintain all of that. As their phones need to be upgraded, we will manage their upgrade process for the next 5 years as well. So if they need something, we're there, and we've provided a dedicated rep for that. An interesting point, though, has been because this wasn't won in the same traditional way, I'm not having to pay the same commission basis that I would pay a true sales rep that would go out there. Instead, I pay on a support model, and the team gets paid, and so it makes it a much more profitable, and it makes them feel very good as well, because it's kind of hard to measure everything into you get paid for this or you get paid for that. We have accessories, and it's one of the nice things. It's a win-win for the city and for us. In the contract with Sprint, they get 20% off, which is kind of standard for an accessory discount, which makes their car charger a whopping $27.99. I offer them a great value at $11.99, still make a nice profit on 8,000 car chargers. A lot of new opportunities. So one of the things that we do with all of our accounts that have growth potential, and it's really easy to go in and say, I know you, and so I sell everything that I can to you. We, being on the business side, we look for the new efficiency model type style selling, and so looking for those new opportunities so that you not only go deep into an account, but now that we're in, the phase 2 is going to be going wide so that we create efficiencies to get rid of paper like Stacy just spoke about, taking everything they do and putting them on e-forms, and whether that be in the form then on their existing PDA or whether they get tablets, I'm okay. They get efficiencies and we get growth. And then the last thing that we'll be doing for the city is we will be holding employee days. I cannot stress enough to you that if you have large accounts, and, you know, large could be 50 to where you can have an employee day, but 50 and above, employee days can benefit. But if you do them, make sure that you advertise and let people know in advance that you're going to be there. And I'd also like to share with you, unless it's a really huge company, your first employee day will not be a success, because people have to get to know you. You have to build a relationship, and you have to go back repeatedly in order to make those employee days successful and build that relationship, because you're going into their workplace, and then they have to go home and speak to their husband or their wife. They have to look at their contracts, and they need to get to know that you'll be there. Otherwise, all you've done is create interest to send them to the web or somebody else's store. And, you know, together, this picture is success is sweet. For the first time in my history, and I've been a Sprint Nextel dealer since '97, this is the direct team, along with me and one of my office manager, Betsy, at an event with the city of Houston for a firefighter fundraiser. It was a very nice event where dinner was $500 a person, and that's untold.
Thank you.